In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up a Drip SMS workflow so that after you engage with your customers, you can continue to send them follow-up messages if they don't engage right away. Here is an example. You can see here I have done a scenario where I am a vendor selling goats and I have a potentially interested buyer. I've sent them an initial SMS asking them if they would like to buy a wonderful goat, and the buyer has responded Y for yes. It's then immediately sent another message telling them about the goats available for sale. A little while later, this in reality would be 24 hours or 48 hours later, but for this test I did it 15 minutes later. There's another message that goes out telling the buyers about a bit of a discount available. And then even later than that, let's say maybe a week later, there's a final message imploring the buyer to take advantage of it. This is what I mean by a drip message, where you've got a sequence of messages that you want to send out. Here's another example of where we do the same campaign, but after this message, the buyer replies saying that they're not interested. And you can see here that the follow-up messages after that, these two here, were not sent out. I'll now show you how to set that up within Zoho CRM. There are three components to this. The first one is that when we have a new lead being created, we've got this initial workflow that runs, which will send a message immediately saying, do you want to buy a goat? Then after that, that message is sent out and it asks the person reply Y for yes if you would like a goat. Message looks like this. We then have an autoresponder. The autoresponder is set up based on a reply to this outbound message. If the person replies with Y, then the action that we take is we update the lead. And here, this gets slightly technical, but in the future I'm gonna have a nice user interface for autoresponders. But for now, what we're doing is we are updating a field called Drip campaign, and we're setting it to Brigitta and Bert. And we're also updating, they sent us an SMS and we haven't replied, we're setting that to false. That's required for the check so that if the person does reply later, that it won't send the messages that would otherwise be followed up with. So that's the second part. Then the third part is we have the goat drip campaign workflow rule. This one gets triggered when the drip campaign field, and that's a custom drop-down list that I added to the leads module. You could do the same. Just looks like this, where right now it's only got one option. But as soon as that gets updated, and that's going to be updated by the autoresponder, then it will add a tag. You'll be able to see that goat drip campaign, that tag has been added, and it will also send out a message, which means that immediately after someone replies with Y, they will get a message saying we have 2 lovely goats for sale. You'll note here that this tick box has been checked. You'll need to do that for the drip messages that you want to send out. Basically what happens is that if you have checked this box in the workflow messages, the Drip SMS cancel on prior reply, when it comes to send out the subsequent message, this one here for example, it's going to check and see if there have been any replies since the first drip SMS in the sequence. We can see that here if we go down, we can see that Goat Drip 2 was created. But if we look inside here, it will say sending cancelled. Not sent because this was a drip SMS and the person has already replied to a previous message. The way that works is it's going to, when it comes time to send this message, based on the scheduled time in the workflow, it's going to, the system automatically looks and checks whether there have been any inbound messages between the time that this one was sent out and now. That's all handled automatically. The only thing you need to do is make sure that you have ticked this box here for all of the drip messages. Hope this will help you to be able to set up some drip marketing campaigns yourself and continue to engage your customers. Make sure that you do have this opt-in flow here where you send them a message and say, would you like to buy a goat? And only send them a drip campaign if they have replied Y, because otherwise it could be considered to be spamming. But if they have replied Y, they are interested, then this can be a good way of continuing to engage your customers, because they might have been busy the first time you sent a message. And by sending a follow-up with more information or a discount, you might be more likely to engage them and close a deal.